Austin, and this is WSIC Radio. I hope everyone out there is having a great week. Thank you guys so much for always tuning in to the Mental Fitness Matters show. I am excited about today's show as I have the opportunity and the honor to have one of my new friends in the mental fitness space. She is crushing the game on all levels. So excited to bring her to the Mental Fitness Matters community so that we can continue to learn how to build our mental fitness, our gut health, our brain health, and optimize our performance. But as she would say, synchronize our performance. I have with me Cara Bradley. She is a leading authority of mental fitness, having led thousands through her signature strategies to work and play and flow. She shares her 30 years plus of body-mind training with Fortune 500 companies, startups, and premier college sports teams. Her training focuses on awareness of body intelligence and priming the gut-brain connection for optimal well-being and performance. She is the author of On The Verge, Wake Up, Show Up, and Shine, founder of the award-winning Verge Yoga Center, and host of On The Verge Mental Fitness Podcast. In 2020, Cara was named Mindful Magazine one of the most top 12 women in mindfulness movement. Cara Bradley, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing today?
I am fantastic, Tracy. It is so great to be here with you. I just love your spirit.
Oh, right back at you. You are such a bright light, and I'm just so thankful. I am a true believer of finding and connecting, and your tribe will find you, or you will find your tribe. And I'm just so thankful that we have connected over this last year in this mental fitness space, and can't wait for you to share your journey, but also some strategies for us to continue to perform at our peak.
Awesome. Well, I feel the same way about you. And, you know, we're here contributing about mental fitness in a time that it's becoming so important that we all look at our mental wellness and our mental fitness.
Absolutely. Right now is the time. And you're right. It's getting louder and louder and louder. We're going to have to start paying attention because we can no longer ignore the things that are going on and calling us to be more mindful of how all of these things have an impact on our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. So let's get into it, Cara. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your story, and your journey. Share with us who you are.
So I'll go quick about my journey because it's been a long, crooked one, I'll tell you that. But I was an athlete, competitive athlete. I was a figure skater and I ran track. And I was really a mediocre athlete, I have to say. But it was all right because I learned life lessons from my time as a competitive athlete. And I had a experience on the track in my last college track race that really redirected my life. I had a flow experience. I kind of fell into it by accident, but it really woke me up to the potential that we all have to really feel and perform our best. So that led me into deep dives into mental and physical practices, including yoga and meditation, but also flow state science and understanding mental patterns, mindsets. And lately, in the last 5 years, it's been around the nervous system and the gut-brain connection.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one. That is a big one. We're hearing a lot more about this whole gut-brain connection. And I think when we think about the sayings, whether it's all in your head or that gut-wrenching experience or trust your gut, we are learning more and more every single day that gut and brain connection, it sends messages from the brain to the gut, gut to the brain. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's really only been in the last 5 years that research has validated what we all have experienced. Yeah. You just said it, Tracy, the butterflies in the gut, the clenching of the gut. Stress impacts our gut more than most anything besides food. And so when we are in stressful situations or we are living in chronic stress, which obviously most everybody on the planet has been living in some state of chronic stress in the last 18 months, it's going to affect not only how our gut feels, but also how it performs for us. So it is, it is absolutely imperative that we all understand how our gut health impacts our mental health and our mental fitness.
Mm-hmm. Talk about that for a little bit, because I think when we think about any type of performance, we do naturally begin to think it's here in the brain and the mind, but we're learning more about those neurotransmitters in the gut, that second brain, so to speak, that it's just as an important communicator network for us to be mindful of and us to really start to optimize.
Yeah. And as a teacher of disciplines, meditation, yoga, strength training, my whole life, when I started to learn about the gut health and how it impacts our mental performance, it turned everything on its head for me. So here's the gist of it. We have something called a gut microbiome, which is our inner environment of bacteria, trillions of bacteria, viruses, and other microbiota that live in the microbiome, which most of it sits in our lower intestines. Now, the microbiome and all the microbiota, these bacteria and viruses that live there, are non-human, and they're eating and producing things that impact how we feel mentally. So one of the easiest things to understand for probably most of you listeners is that 90% of our serotonin and our dopamine and our GABA and these neurotransmitters that impact how we feel and perform are produced in our gut. So if our gut is off kilter, out of balance because of stress or poor eating or environmental toxins or pharmaceutical, if anything is throwing our gut off balance, it's going to throw our mental health, our mental fitness off balance. So this is it's not a quick, but it's a really impactful and effective little hack is to start to understand more about your gut health and make some adjustments there.
That's huge. And as you say that and break it down in that way, it makes you become more mindful of hearing it like that. When we talk about the things that we eat and consume and how everything that's sending signals to our brain, a lot of what's going on in our gut sends that message. And so if our gut health is not in order, the messages and the signals to our brain could be out of sync as well. So that's really an important message. What would you describe as a way, when we think about this gut and having the neurotransmitters in our gut and how we feel and how we think and how we perform, what are some ways in which, you said stress, but what are some other ways in which the gut health can be strengthened or optimized? What can we do?
Right. Oh, it's a great question. So I think number one, and what most researchers would say is food and food supplements. So here's the deal. We want to eat. We got lots of little bugs in there, right? Eating up all kinds of stuff that we eat. Now they like diversity because there's such diversity of bacteria. There's also needed a diversity of food for those bacteria. So number one is food quality and food diversity. Make sure you're eating tons of different types of plants and fruits every single week. In fact, I think the key number is 30. Write down every day the different types of plants and fruits that you're eating. And at the end of the week, just make sure you've got 30 different types in there. That's going to feed those bacteria a good amount of what we call prebiotics or fiber. And that will help the good bacteria. We want the good guys flourishing. Right? When the good guys flourish, they produce the serotonin, the dopamine, the GABA, the norepinephrine that helps us to focus, that helps us to connect and feel good. And then we're off to the races.
I love that. And let's speak a little to, when I think about some of the foods that I eat. So I love pizza. Pizza is my thing. I mean, I just love pizza. Pizza and pastas. But I recognize when I eat foods like that, how much heavier I feel versus when I'm eating what you're talking about, the plants and the vegetables and the fruits, how much more clarity I feel. So connecting how I feel in my gut after I eat, whether that's bloated or stuffed or full versus feeling kind of more light and clear, that is another way to identify and bring more to home the relationship to my gut health and my brain health.
Yeah, and you're spot on. And listen, I'm Italian, so I mean, pizza and pasta, you're talking my language. I'm not, I mean, the last thing I want to tell anybody is to cut that out.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is just be mindful of the little guys that we're feeding in our body. And so to have a diversity of food. And you are so right, Tracy, about recognizing how what you eat makes you feel different ways. And so if you're an athlete, if you're a high performer, if you just need to show up and do a presentation at work at your best, be careful about what you're eating beforehand. Feed the bacteria and the microbiome good prebiotic food so that you are going to be able to amplify that gut-brain connection so that you're going to be able to step up to the plate and step up to the podium and do your thing.
I love that. Being more aware and intentional and mindful, paying attention. That is a lot of what we talk about on the show because we are, especially in the driver's seat of our overall health and wellness. And so paying attention is key. What would you say for you, Cara, in terms of your own mental fitness and mental wellness journey? How did you stumble upon, I know with all the other practices that you have in place, how did you stumble upon this gut-brain connection in terms of synchronizing our performance?
Yeah. So I've been a student of myself in my own life for my whole life, and so I've gone down from the outer to the inner body, and as I continue to go deeper and deeper into understanding nervous system regulation, toning the vagus nerve, some of you may have heard about. I kept going deeper. And so now I got to the root, right? Yeah. The root is our gut and the gut-brain connection. And it really has blown everything wide open for me. There is more research happening on the microbiome and the gut-brain connection and gut health and mental performance than ever before. So I know, because I'm so passionate about contributing mental fitness categories, ways to cross-train for mental fitness. I know you do such a great job on this show, Tracy, sharing your strategies and your tips. And this is just an added category that many of us just haven't looked at before. So I encourage everyone to just Google it, look it up. There are ways that you can supplement to prime the gut-brain connection that I have found to be extraordinarily helpful, because we just can't get the complete diversity in our diets that we'd like to. Let's just face it, the apple today is different than the apple 40 years ago.
Absolutely. And what would you describe as, when we think about our gut health related to our mental health and mental fitness, what are some of those things that you notice personally when we're talking about really optimizing, being mindful, being aware? What do you feel? What's the impact on performance? What can people expect?
Yeah, so when you start to modulate, that's the word that's used in science, which really means to balance the gut microbiome, and prime the gut-brain connection, like getting the signaling going really well, what you're going to find, and what I felt, was less brain fog. Most of us are walking around, we don't even realize it. There's like this veil over our mental clarity. And a lot of it has to do with the food that we're eating, the sleep that we're getting, the water, the movement, right? All the stuff you talk about on the show. But specifically, when you start to clean up the signaling between the gut and the brain, that brain fog lifts. You start to see more clearly. And then there's this mental acuity that comes online. Mental acuity is this sharpness, this energy, this vigor. And so that's some of the stuff that you can expect when you start to modulate the gut microbiome and amplify or prime the gut-brain connection.
Something that everyone wants and everybody's looking for, right? I mean, when we think about that, and when we think about, as we're symptom chasing, a lot of times we focus in one area and you leave all the other things behind and looking for these results. But as you're talking about the connection and making the connection to make sure things are in sync, that's a whole mind-body thing. It's a whole mind-body thing. Can't leave it out.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we can't leave it out. I mean, that's what makes me so passionate, Tracy, and thank you for the opportunity to share. We can't leave out the gut-brain connection anymore, in our protocol for mental fitness. It's got to be in there.
Yeah, and when I think about the work that we are doing in this space and really trying to teach and train people to become more self-aware and in tune, I think that gut health is really, really key here, because when we're starting to pay attention to messaging, if we're not clearing up the space that's providing us signaling to how we feel, the message can be miscommunicated. So when we think about really getting more in tune and hearing and listening more to who we are and what we are and giving our gifts out into the world, being clear is big. When you think about having that edge or having that advantage, being able to have that mental acuity and being sharp and clear, that's an edge when it comes to performing at your peak. That allows you to create and innovate, so I can talk about how important it is from a mental performance standpoint and really tapping into this brain gut world. It's game changing.
You got it spot on. I mean, it was so well said how you just articulated that. And the way I like to look at it, and this wonderful gentleman named Dr. Sean Talbot that I work with in this GutBrain company, he talks about going from 3G to 5G. When your gut-brain connection or access is primed and optimal, you literally go from a staticky 3G connection to 5G HD high definition sharpness.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yes, I can, loud and clear. Peak performance. I love it. What would you say as you're thinking about all the work that you're doing? You're so awesome in the community. I'm just so thankful that we have connected, because you have been leading the charge for a very long time in this mental fitness, mental wellness space. You're an author of an amazing book that's right here on The Verge. You have some great exercises and tools in this book. What would you say are some of your mental fitness strategies? How does Cara stay sharp and mentally fit?
Oh, I love that question. Well, I have to say gut health, sleep hygiene, and movement are three biggies and non-negotiables for me every single day. And I think that, it's all physical, right? We can talk a lot about the mental stuff, but we really, in my work, have to start with the body. Get the body working and actually, my definition of mental fitness is when the body and mind systems work together in synergy to amplify how we feel. So we've got to get the body stuff straight. We got to get that stuff right in order for us to really perform at our optimal.
I love that. I love that. And you just hit on something really briefly about systems. I've heard you in one of your other talks talking about that it's a bunch of systems that we have to kind of get in order. Cardiovascular, the digestive system. We have all these systems in place that we have to really make sure that are in sync. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, I love talking about systems. And we're not machines by any stretch, but we have this sophisticated body intelligence. And when it comes to a lot of times people, in my work will think about why can't I stay motivated? What's wrong with me mentally that I can't do something consistently? And what I want to say, what I want to scream to the world is it's not all in your head.
Right.
Because oftentimes, if you look at our nervous system, most of us are living with chronic stress. We've got this, probably everybody has micro trauma in some respect that have thrown our systems off balance. Our nervous system isn't humming. It's not in coherence with how our heart rate is beating or how our breath pace is. When we start to synchronize, you used that word earlier, Tracy, I love that word. And when you think about all the gears just working in synchronization, we feel something called coherence. Coherence, you can call it flow, but coherence is this natural state of calm clarity. When we are both calm and clear at the same time, so our body is calm and at ease, and our mind is sharp and clear. When that happens, those gears are moving together. So you as an athlete, Tracy, you remember, you know this, when you play cool, right? When you play calm, you're at your best.
Absolutely.
Right? So the body is calm, the mind is sharp. And we can get there, every single one of us can get there by just working these systems, like I said before, get the sleep, get the food, get the movement, the breathing, the social connection, the quiet time, when you start to get that all in sync, we just feel better consistently. And that's what I want to share with people. You can do it.
Absolutely. And you hit on a big one, breathing. That is one of the quickest and fastest ways to begin to calm these systems and get in alignment. I mean, just being aware and taking some deep diaphragmatic breaths and getting that oxygen fuel through your brain and your body. It's powerful. It's powerful.
It's so powerful. Tracy, you are spot on with that. And, if we just focused on pausing once an hour to take 5 deep, coherent or resonant breaths, just like you said, it calms and balances our nervous system. And when the nervous system is in an optimal state of autonomic coherence is the word, we just feel better. We feel like we could do anything. So just breathing, like you said, is our direct knob to our state, to how we feel moment to moment.
And what 3 or 1 or 2 quick tips would you give our community if they're looking now and they're like, okay, you've sparked my interest here. I'm recognizing that some of the things that I ingest on a daily basis, I'm not feeling the best, but I also have a lot of these gut-wrenching moments and I'm connected that something's going on there. How would you recommend, or what tips would you give if people are really wanting to look into more synchronization between gut, brain, and connection? Where would you suggest they start?
Yeah, great question. So specifically, if we're talking about the gut and the gut-brain connection, I would say number 1, food. Yeah. Get diversity in your food, like we talked about before. 30 plants and fruits throughout the week. 2, supplement. Supplementing foods. We are learning more about micronutrients now and how to amplify our gut-brain connection than ever before, and it doesn't have to take a lot. So look at food supplements that specifically target mental wellness and the gut-brain connection, and we can help you out with that as well. And then number 3 is looking at the other categories. Are you moving, sleeping, breathing, finding time for social connection? So all of those in hand, and none of this has to take a whole lot of time or a lot of money, can really help you move the needle when it comes to your mental health, your mental wellness, and then your optimized mental wellness, which we call mental fitness.
Love that, love that, love that. Thank you for sharing all of that knowledge. How can people connect with you, learn more about what you do? You're such a wealth of knowledge in so many ways. Connect with your book and get a chance to start reading that. How can people reach you?
Oh, thank you for that. Well, the easiest way is my website, carabradley.net. And that's Cara with a C.net. And I have all the information lots of free stuff. I love offering and contributing to the world because you know what? I believe that it's our birthright to feel great. And we can all feel great. And when we feel great, we start performing great. And if I can give a little bit of that to the world, then I've done my job.
Oh, you're doing an amazing job, and I'm so thankful for the job you're doing and that we have connected. Make sure you guys check out the On The Verge Mental Fitness podcast as well. And I think people need to know that, just being hopeful that we can all perform at our peak. When we think about that term peak performance, people look at that in a space and a place, whether it's professional athletes, Olympians, or peak performing business professionals, but we could all perform at a peak level by really getting these systems in order and taking care of our entire mind-body connection, body-mind connection, and feeling really good.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, Tracy, I have to be honest, I got the chills.
Yeah.
And when I get the chills, I know there's some truth coming through. We all have the potential to feel great. And it doesn't mean we have to go win a gold medal at the Olympics.
Right.
It can mean that we are just serving our families and our communities and putting forth the best of us. And if we all do that, boy, this is going to look like a whole different world.
You're amazing. You are awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we sign off for today?
Well, I just want to say I just adore your positivity. You're such a gift to the world, Tracy. And for those of you listening, just know you've got a rock solid little igniter of energy here in Tracy and in this show. And I just value what you bring to the world so much. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I can't thank my Mental Fitness Matters community enough. I want to make sure you guys go out, shine bright like the stars that you are. Have an amazing week. We will see you soon. Have a great week. Thank you for joining us today on Mental Fitness Matters. Tune in every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. for more tips, tools, strategies, and solutions that will help you reach your peak mental fitness. My name is Tracy Austin, and you've been listening to Mental Fitness Matters.